It's a possible government shutdown Friday midnight. Now, the last time the feds shut down, the Democrats made it hurt. Monuments closed to the public, parks closed, etc., stuff like that. Joining us now is the Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney. If it shuts down this time, and I don't know whether it will or not, but if it does shut down, will it hurt the implementation of the tax deal?
Stuart, it's too early to say. Again, we're not expecting a shutdown, and if we do, we talk about this more during the course of the interview, it would be for one reason or one reason only. It would be because of Democrats in the Senate. But I think, writ large, it's safe to say that a shutdown, a lapse in appropriation under this administration would look very different than it would under the previous administration. Not that anybody would want to go to the monuments today in Washington, D.C., because it's miserably cold here, but if they wanted to under a government shutdown, those would be open. So a shutdown would look very different under a Republican administration than it would under a Democrat. But again, we're still confident that a funding bill will be passed before Friday at midnight, even though we're making contingencies just in case that doesn't happen.
Just to reassure people, nobody who gets a government check would fail to get that government check. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Well, here's how it works, is that if we were to shut down again, I still don't think that's a likelihood at this point, but just to walk through the technicalities, Social Security checks would go out. Anything that's funded by mandatory spending would go out. Many payroll checks actually to government workers would also go out, or could go out, if the agency has enough money in their account on the next payday, which is not until next Friday, the 26th. So there's a chance that those checks would go out as well. A short-term shutdown would not affect anybody's checks. A long-term shutdown would not affect Social Security checks, could ultimately start to affect the flow of funds to government workers. But again, we're a long way away from that.
But again, may I go back to that question? I mean, will it affect the implementation of the tax deal?
Yeah, too early to tell. We've not been able to determine yet whether or not the folks who are working on doing the forms are what they call accepted or non-accepted employees. Would they come to work during a shutdown? But again, the bottom line is, if there is a shutdown and it would to impact the implementation of the tax bill, it would be very temporary in nature. Those folks simply wouldn't be allowed to work on it for the day or two that the government is shut down. So writ large, the impact on the overall tax bill would be negligible, if not zero.